The strange arrival, the stars above shone brightly as the massive human spacecraft made its way toward the alien planet. It was a world known across the galaxy for its terrifying wildlife and dangerous predators. The planet's surface was rugged, with towering mountains, thick forests, and violent oceans. The aliens that lived here were proud and fierce, believing themselves to be the apex predators of the universe. No species dared challenge them. They were the strongest, the smartest, and the most feared. Or so they thought. From the moment that humans landed, everything began to change. The aliens had never seen anything like it. They expected a group of warriors, soldiers ready for battle, or perhaps a fleet of ships prepared for an invasion. What they got was a small group of humans, just a handful of people who didn't seem afraid at all. They stepped off their ship, as if they were on a peaceful planet, breathing the thick, humid air like it was nothing special. They looked up at the sky, examining their surroundings with curiosity, their eyes shining with interest rather than fear. The alien observers, hidden in the shadows, watched in stunned silence. These humans, unlike any species they had encountered before, didn't cower. They didn't look around with the panic that often gripped other visitors to their dangerous world. They were calm, almost too calm, as if they had no idea what kind of monsters roamed the planet. "Who are they?" one of the alien commanders whispered, not fully believing what he was seeing. Another alien, more experienced with the ways of the world, shook his head. "They are humans. They have a reputation for survival. But they are small. They cannot possibly survive here. This is our world. We rule this place." The commander was not so sure. He had heard of the humans, but he had never seen one in person. Their reputation had spread across the galaxy, but now, seeing them up close, he felt something he had never felt before. Uncertainty. As the humans moved deeper into the dense forest, the air seemed to grow colder. The creatures of the jungle stirred. The predators, towering beasts with claws and teeth sharp enough to rip through steel, began to circle. They were the kings of this land, the true rulers. But today, they watched from the shadows as the humans walked calmly through their territory, unafraid and without hesitation. "Do they not understand the danger?" one of the aliens asked, his voice filled with a mix of confusion and fear. "They must," another alien replied. "They are being foolish. The jungle will claim them soon enough." But as the humans ventured deeper, they didn't seem to notice the deadly eyes watching them. One of them, a man with dark hair and a serious expression, raised a strange device to his lips. A low hum filled the air, and suddenly, there was a loud noise from the trees. A massive creature, a beast larger than any the aliens had seen, pushed its way through the brush. It was the apex predator of the planet, a beast of terror. Its scales shimmered like metal, and its eyes glowed with an unholy light. Its massive claws and sharp teeth were designed for destruction. The humans did not run. They did not panic. Instead, they seemed prepared. The man with the strange device spoke to the creature in a calm voice, as if they were old friends. The alien observers couldn't believe what they were seeing. The creature roared in fury, but the humans weren't fazed. They moved as a team, quickly and efficiently, each one using tools the aliens had never seen before. The humans didn't fear the creature. They didn't even seem to fear death. Instead, they worked together to bring the massive beast to the ground. For a moment, the entire jungle fell silent. The predator lay defeated, twitching weakly on the ground. The humans stepped back, wiping their hands clean, completely unfazed. By the struggle, the aliens, hidden in their observation posts, gasped. This was impossible. No one could defeat the apex predator. Yet, these small humans had done it. They had conquered the very beast that had terrified every species that had ever set foot on this planet. "What are they?" one of the aliens asked. In a low voice, "They are not like any other species we've encountered," another replied, his voice shaking. "We thought we were the strongest, But these humans, they are something else. The humans did not waste time in celebration. They simply turned to one another, exchanging a few quiet words, before they began to prepare the creature for something. The aliens couldn't understand what they were doing. Then, to their horror, they watched as the humans began to cut into the creature's flesh. They weren't just killing it. They were feasting on it. The massive predator, once the ruler of this planet, was now nothing more than food for these humans. And the aliens watched, completely stunned. How could these creatures, so small and fragile in their eyes, destroy their greatest threat and then casually feast on it as if it were nothing? The fear spread through the alien ranks. Their world, once a place of absolute dominance, was no longer the invincible kingdom they thought it was. These humans had come, and they had brought terror with them. As the humans ate, the aliens made one thing clear in their minds. They were not prepared for what was coming. This part introduces the aliens, their world, and the humans' surprising ability to confront the planet's apex predator. It sets up suspense for the rest of the story as the aliens start to realize they are not the apex predators anymore. The first encounter, the jungle was dense and unforgiving, but the humans moved through it as if they had been born for this planet. They were unbothered by the heat and humidity, the rustling of unseen creatures in the shadows, and the overwhelming feeling that danger was just a step behind them. The aliens, still hidden and watching from their safe vantage points, could hardly believe what they were seeing. The humans had already killed the planet's apex predator, and now they ventured deeper into the wilds as though they were taking a leisurely walk through a park. The sun was high in the sky, casting long shadows through the thick trees. Suddenly, the ground began to tremble beneath their feet. The humans stopped in their tracks, each one glancing around with a practiced calmness. The alien spies stiffened, knowing what was coming. From the underbrush, something large emerged slowly. At first, but then with purpose. Another one of the planet's predators, this time a creature even more terrifying than the last. Its massive form stood taller than the humans, its legs built for power and speed, and its mouth lined with teeth as sharp as daggers. The creature let out a deafening roar, shaking the trees and sending birds scattering into the air. The humans didn't run. They didn't even flinch. Instead, they drew weapons that the aliens had never seen before, sleek metallic devices that hummed with energy. The alien observers could feel their hearts race as they watched the humans prepare for battle. They were about to face the most dangerous predator the planet had to offer, and yet they looked calm, almost too calm, as if they were about to engage in a casual training exercise. The creature lunged forward, its claws outstretched, aimed to tear the humans apart. But the humans were faster. They moved with an agility that defied logic, dodging the creature's attacks with ease. One of them, a woman with short dark hair and eyes that burned with determination, fired her weapon. The blast struck the creature in the side, and it staggered back, screeching in pain. The aliens couldn't believe their eyes. This wasn't how it was supposed to go. The humans were not supposed to stand a chance. The creature, furious, recovered and charged again, but the humans were ready. They moved together in perfect harmony, their movements coordinated and precise. The man who had spoken earlier, a tall figure with a calm face, raised a strange device and pointed it toward the creature. There was a high-pitched whine, and suddenly the ground beneath the predator erupted. The blast hit with such force that the creature was thrown back, landing in a heap, stunned and unable to rise. The humans approached it cautiously, their eyes fixed on the massive creature, their movements calculated. The alien observers watched in stunned silence. They had never seen such efficiency, such precision. It was as if the humans had done this 100 times before, as if they knew exactly how to take down this terrifying beast. The creature, now barely moving, let out one last pitiful growl before it went still. The humans did not celebrate. They did not cheer. They simply stood over the creature, examining it as if it were nothing more than a task completed. The aliens, still watching from their concealed positions, felt a deep unease settle in their bones. How were the humans doing this? These were creatures that, by all accounts, were supposed to be weak, fragile, and easily defeated. And yet, they were standing victorious over the planet's deadliest predators, as if it were no more difficult than swatting a fly. The tension in the air thickened as the humans began to gather around the fallen creature. The man with the calm eyes turned to his team, giving them a silent signal. The woman with short hair knelt beside the predator, pulling out a small device that hummed as it scanned the beast's body. The alien spies couldn't understand what they were doing. They weren't just killing the monsters. They were studying them. And this only increased the fear of the aliens, who had lived their entire lives believing that they were the undisputed rulers of this planet. The leader of the aliens, a towering figure with shimmering scales and eyes like burning coals, clenched, his fists in disbelief. He had seen many species come and go, but none like this. These humans were not simply invaders. They were something else entirely. They were hunters, survivors, warriors in ways the aliens had never imagined. A cold sweat broke out across the alien commander's brow as he realized something deeply troubling. The humans had not come here to conquer. They had come to survive, and survival was something they did better than anyone else. The aliens had always believed that they were the top predators of the galaxy. But now, standing in the shadows, watching the humans stand victorious, they were forced to confront a terrifying truth. Their world, their reign, was no longer secure. The aliens had underestimated the humans. They had assumed that their technology, their size, and their strength made them the true apex predators. But the humans had something the aliens did not: resourcefulness, determination, and an unshakable will to survive. And it was these qualities that made them a force far more dangerous than anything the aliens had ever faced before. As the humans continued to examine the predator, preparing to move on, the alien commander turned to his second-in-command. "We are not ready for this," he muttered under his breath. "We must act quickly, before it is too late." But it was already too late. The humans were no longer just visitors on their planet. They were now a threat, one that even the greatest predators could not ignore. This part shows the humans in action as they defeat another apex predator, adding to the suspense and terror felt by the aliens. It also highlights the growing realization among the aliens that the humans are far more dangerous than they initially thought. Feasting the jungle was eerily silent now, save for the occasional rustle of the trees and the soft, steady breaths of the humans. The massive predator lay motionless at their feet, its once terrifying form reduced to nothing more than a defeated carcass. The humans had done what no other species could do. They had killed it, and now they were preparing to feast on it. 2. The aliens hidden in the trees. It was a sight they could hardly comprehend. Their most feared creature, the one that had terrorized their world for generations, was now nothing more than food for these small, seemingly fragile beings. The man with the calm eyes who had led the attack crouched down beside the beast, his fingers gently brushing the creature's scales. He didn't seem to feel disgust or even pity. He simply seemed calm, as if this was part of the natural order. The woman with short dark hair looked at him for a moment, before drawing a large, curved blade from her side. She moved with precise efficiency, carving into the creature's flesh, her movements practiced and sure. There was no hesitation, no sense of repulsion. She worked quickly, as if she had done this countless times before. One of the aliens, still hidden in the underbrush, could feel his stomach twist with unease. This was wrong. The humans had not only killed the creature, they were treating it as if it were just another meal. The alien had seen other species struggle to even approach such a dangerous animal, let alone kill it. And yet these humans were treating it like it was nothing more than a hunting prize. It was as if they were completely unfazed by the creatures. Immense power, as if it was no more than a challenge, not a threat. The aliens could see the humans' eyes sharp, focused, calculating. They weren't looking at the creature with awe or fear. They were simply looking at it as a resource, something to be used. To the aliens, this was a level of cold pragmatism they had never encountered. The predators of their planet had always been creatures to be feared, to be revered for their power. And yet here were these small humans, without hesitation, breaking down their prize with ease and turning it into sustenance. As the woman continued her work, another human, a man with a scar on his cheek, knelt beside her. He took a large chunk of meat from the creature's body and placed it into a small container. "This will keep us going for a while," he said in a voice so calm it sent shivers down the spine of the alien watching them. The woman nodded, her eyes never leaving the work in front of her. It was clear they had done this many times before, that for them, killing and feasting on a creature like this was no more extraordinary than a walk in the park. The alien commander, watching from his concealed position, could feel his grip tightening on his weapon. He knew he had to act. The humans were not just surviving, they were thriving. And it was only a matter of time before they started to take more than just a few creatures from their world. The humans were intelligent, resourceful. And now, it seemed, they were unstoppable. But the worst part was that the aliens couldn't understand them. These humans didn't follow the rules of battle, of survival. They didn't think like the other species in the galaxy. The humans had no reverence for the natural order, no respect for the power of the predators. They simply took what they wanted, without fear, without hesitation. And it terrified the aliens. As the humans feasted on the meat, there was no sign of celebration, no cheering, no joy. They ate with quiet focus, as if they were simply refueling for the next challenge. The alien commander could see the way they looked at their surroundings, the way they planned their next move, even as they consumed the creature. It was as if the defeat of the apex predator was merely a step toward something much larger. One of the aliens, a younger soldier, spoke up, his voice full of disbelief. "They're eating it. They're eating the beast that no one could ever defeat. This is not possible." The commander's gaze hardened as he looked at the humans. "It's possible because they're not like us. They're not like any species we've encountered. They're more than just survivors. They're hunters. And they're here to stay." The soldiers fell silent, the weight of the commander's words sinking in. The humans had proven they were capable of much more than just surviving. They had proven they were predators in their own right. And now, the aliens were faced with the terrifying truth. They were not the apex predators anymore. The humans had taken that title, and they had done it without breaking a sweat. As the humans finished their meal, they stood up, wiping their hands clean. They exchanged a few words, the meaning of which was lost on the aliens. Then, without any fanfare, they began to move deeper into the jungle, leaving the carcass of the predator behind. The alien commander watched them go, his heart pounding in his chest. This was only the beginning. The humans had shown their power. And now they were ready to claim more. The planet, once thought to be the domain of the strongest creatures, had just become a battleground. And the aliens were about to learn that, in the fight for survival, there was nothing more dangerous than a human. The fear spread through the alien ranks like wildfire. They had made a terrible mistake. The humans were not invaders to be pushed aside. They were a force to be reckoned with, and the aliens had no idea how to stop them. In this part, the focus shifts to the humans' unsettling calmness as they feast on the defeated apex predator and the growing fear among the aliens. The aliens are beginning to realize just how outmatched they are. The suspense continues to build, setting the stage for the aliens' next move. The horror spreads. The jungle was beginning to darken as the humans made their way deeper into the heart of the planet. The trees loomed tall above them, their thick canopies blocking out the last rays of the sun. The predators of the land had retreated for now, but the fear of the humans lingered in the air like a storm about to break. The alien watchers, still hidden in the shadows, continued to follow the humans' every movement, their minds racing as they tried to make sense of what was happening. As the humans walked, they spoke softly among themselves, their voices barely audible. But to the aliens, it was like listening to the sound of impending doom. Every step the humans took felt like a declaration of war, a reminder that they were no longer the rulers of this planet. The humans moved with such purpose, such confidence, that the aliens couldn't help but feel a deep sense of dread. It was as if the humans were not just visiting their world, they were taking it, piece by piece, without lifting a finger to claim it. They were hunters, and this planet had just become their new hunting ground. News of the humans' actions had begun to spread quickly through the alien ranks. Whispers turned into panic as the reality of what had just occurred set in. No one had expected this. They had thought the humans were nothing more than weak, fragile creatures, easily overwhelmed by the dangers of their world. But they were wrong, so terribly wrong. The humans had destroyed the apex predator with ease, and now they were moving deeper into the jungle, undeterred by the lurking dangers. They were treating the planet like it was their home, walking through the wilderness as if they owned it. The Alien Council, once confident in their superiority, convened in a hurried meeting. The room was tense, the air thick with anxiety. The council members, all-powerful and proud, were now united by fear. They had underestimated the humans, and now they had no idea how to stop them. The once peaceful planet was now on the brink of disaster, and the aliens were struggling to come to terms with the fact that their world was no longer safe. "We've seen them fight," one of the council members said, his voice shaking with disbelief. "They killed our greatest beast with nothing more than their strange weapons. How is that possible? These creatures are nothing like us. We can't predict them. We can't understand them." The leader of the council, a tall figure with eyes like molten lava, slammed his fist on the table. "We will not allow this. This planet is ours, and we will protect it. The humans must be stopped before they conquer us all. But how?" Another member asked, fear creeping into his voice. "They are unlike anything we've encountered before. They're efficient, resourceful, and fearless. How do we fight that?" The council fell silent, each member struggling to come up with an answer. But there were no easy solutions. The humans had already proven that they were more than capable of handling the predators of the planet. They had already demonstrated they were not afraid of the creatures that had once terrified the aliens. The humans were no longer just invaders, they were a new breed of predator, one that the aliens had no experience dealing with. Back in the jungle, the humans were continuing their journey. They moved with an ease that seemed unnatural, their eyes scanning their surroundings with a calm precision. Every step they took seemed deliberate, every move calculated. They weren't just surviving, they were thriving. And as they ventured deeper into the wilds, the aliens began to realize that they were no longer in control. The humans had come, and they had taken everything from them, their safety, their pride, and their very identity as the apex predators. As the humans made camp for the night, the aliens watched from the shadows, their minds filled with a deep, unshakable fear. They had tried to reason with themselves, tried to convince themselves that the humans were just lucky, that this was all a fluke. But deep down, they knew the truth. The humans weren't here by accident. They had come for a reason. And the reason was simple. They were predators, and this planet was their next hunt. The alien commanders met in secret, their minds clouded with doubt and uncertainty. The plan they had so confidently laid out just days before now seemed meaningless. The humans had shown them that they were no longer the hunters. They were the prey. One of the commanders spoke up, his voice trembling with fear. "We've underestimated them. They are not like us. They don't think like us. They don't fight like us. How do we stop something we don't understand? The leader of the council turned to him, his face hardening. We don't stop them. We eliminate them. We will hunt them down, one by one, until they are nothing but a memory. We will show them that this planet belongs to us, and we will not allow them to take it. But even as he spoke the words, he could see the doubt in the eyes of his fellow commanders. They knew the humans were not going to be so easily defeated. They knew that to face the humans was to face something far more terrifying than any predator they had ever encountered. The terror had already spread. The humans had changed the rules of the game, and the aliens were realizing they were no longer playing on their own terms. In this part, the fear among the alien ranks grows as they realize that the humans are no longer just invaders. They're predators in their own right. The aliens scramble to come up with a plan, but there's a growing sense of helplessness. The suspense continues to build as the humans remain unrelenting, further asserting their dominance on the planet. The alien resistance, the following days on the alien planet, were filled with tense whispers and uneasy movements. The humans, unperturbed by the ever-growing challenges of the planet, continued their journey with unwavering determination. They were everywhere, moving swiftly, confidently, and always in control. It was as if the planet itself belonged to them, and nothing, no creature, no danger, and no threat could stop them. The aliens, once so sure of their superiority, now found themselves scrambling, their previous arrogance shattered like glass under the weight of the humans' cold efficiency. The alien commanders convened in secret once more, the air thick with frustration and fear. The time had come to act, to rid their world of the humans once and for all. But as the council members sat in a circle, their faces grim and eyes full of doubt, it became clear that their options were quickly running out. The humans had already proven they were more than capable of handling the planet's deadliest predators, and the alien military forces were not prepared for an enemy so ruthless, so unyielding. It was as if the humans knew no fear, no hesitation, no limits to their power. "We can't sit back any longer," one of the commanders said, his voice tight with anger. "We've underestimated them, but now they're pushing further into our territory. We can't let them take our world from us. We must act, and we must act quickly." The leader of the council, his face as cold and unfeeling as the stone walls surrounding them, nodded. "We must strike with everything we have," he said, his voice low and dangerous. "The humans are weak, fragile creatures. They have no place on our planet. We will destroy them." But there was something in his voice, something that made the other commanders pause. The words were strong, but the leader's eyes betrayed him. There was a flicker of doubt, a flicker of fear, deep within them. He knew, just as the others did, that these humans were different from anything they had ever faced. They were not the usual invaders, the ones who would collapse under pressure. No, these humans were predators in their own right, and they would not be easily destroyed. The discussion continued long into the night, the commanders growing more desperate with each passing hour. The best minds of the alien species came together, trying to devise a plan, a strategy, a way to stop the humans before they could do any more damage. They knew they had to act quickly, but no matter what they proposed, none of their ideas seemed foolproof. The humans had already proven they were far more dangerous than anyone had imagined. They didn't fight like any enemy the aliens had faced before. They didn't rely on brute strength or numbers. The humans fought with intelligence, strategy, and cold precision, and that made them more terrifying than anything else. As the plan started to take shape, the fear among the aliens grew even stronger. Their once confident hearts now beat with uncertainty. What if they failed? What if the humans were too strong, too smart for them to handle? The very thought made their stomachs twist with dread. But there was no turning back now. They had no choice but to launch their resistance, to strike before the humans grew even stronger. The alien forces mobilized quickly, their soldiers preparing for battle in a way they never had before. The usual bravado was gone. Now there was only the cold, hard reality that they were fighting for their very survival. They were fighting for their planet, their home, and they were going to do everything in their power to reclaim it. The humans, unaware of the alien forces gathering against them, continued their march deeper into the jungle. They had already made it past several of the planet's most dangerous regions, and they showed no signs of stopping. They moved with the grace of predators, always scanning, always aware of their surroundings. They had no need for excessive weapons or armor. They relied on their instincts, their skills, and their ability to adapt. And that was enough. But now the alien resistance was about to be unleashed. The alien armies would march to confront the humans, and they would stop at nothing to reclaim their world. The battle for the planet had begun, and the humans were about to learn what it truly meant to be hunted. As the first wave of alien soldiers charged into the jungle, they were met with the cold, unyielding strength of the humans. The humans didn't hesitate, they didn't falter. They fought back with an intensity the aliens had never experienced before. It was not a battle of strength alone. The humans fought with strategy, with precision, with an understanding of their environment that left the aliens at a loss. They knew the jungle, and they knew how to use it to their advantage. The aliens were forced to rethink their strategy as the humans outmaneuvered them at every turn. The humans' weapons, their tactics, their ability to think on their feet, everything about them was different. And everything about them was terrifying. The aliens soon realized that they were not fighting an army. They were fighting a species of hunters, a species that had mastered the art of survival. And as the humans continued to push forward, the alien forces began to crumble under the weight of their own fear. The humans had only just begun, but already the alien resistance was falling apart. The first battle had been lost, but the war was far from over. The aliens had underestimated the humans once more. Now they would learn what happens when you challenge a species that has no fear, no limits, and no mercy. In this part, the aliens begin to organize their resistance, but the fear and doubt within their ranks grow. The humans' resilience and cunning are becoming increasingly evident, leaving the aliens scrambling to figure out how to stop them. The suspense continues to build as the conflict escalates, setting the stage for even greater challenges ahead. The unexpected revelation. Jungle had become a battlefield. The once peaceful planet was now the stage for a war unlike any the aliens had ever seen. The humans, relentless and determined, continued to move through the dense foliage, unfazed by the chaos around them. The alien resistance, despite their superior numbers and technology, was struggling to contain the humans' unpredictable tactics and brutal efficiency. Every battle left the aliens more disoriented, more desperate. The humans had already shown their ability to adapt to the planet's dangers, and now they were proving they could outfight, outthink, and outlast the aliens at every turn. Deep in the heart of the jungle, the humans stopped for a moment to reassess their position. The quiet calm of the jungle was eerie, as if the entire planet held its breath, waiting for something that was yet to come. A man, one of the leaders of the human team, stood at the front, staring at a map. His expression was focused, calculating, as if he were planning the next step of a grand strategy. Around him, his team worked with quiet efficiency, securing their weapons, checking supplies, and ensuring every movement was purposeful. It was then that the revelation came. The alien commanders had expected the humans to falter, to slow down, or even turn back when the resistance began. But the humans didn't hesitate. They didn't even pause for rest. Instead, they adapted to the harsh conditions, learning the intricacies of the jungle and the ways of the predators, not just surviving, but thriving. And as the days passed, the aliens began to realize that they weren't dealing with a random group of explorers. They were dealing with something far more dangerous, The humans weren't just visitors to the planet. They had been prepared for this, for the wilds, for the dangers. They were here for a reason. The man in the front, the leader, turned to his team with a look that conveyed everything without a single word. He knew they had already won the battle in a way the aliens couldn't comprehend. The humans hadn't come to conquer the planet. They had come to survive, and that simple truth was enough to make them unstoppable. The planet, with all its dangers, its apex predators, and its alien forces, was no match for the humans' ability to endure, adapt, and learn. As the team gathered their things and prepared to move out, the leader spoke quietly, almost to himself. It's not just about survival. We've trained for this. We've been preparing for a long time. His words, simple as they were, carried a weight of understanding that echoed through the group. The team knew exactly what he meant. The humans were not here on some grand conquest. They were here to prove that their species, the one so often dismissed by other civilizations, could endure the impossible. They could adapt to any environment, overcome any obstacle, and thrive where others would perish. The aliens had thought they were fighting just another weak species. But the humans were not weak. They were survivors, warriors who had evolved in ways the aliens could not fathom. The humans had adapted, not just to the planet's environment, but to the challenges it posed. They were more than capable of fighting back. They were more than capable of defeating the apex predators of the planet, of breaking through the alien resistance, and of taking control of the planet. The alien commanders, now fully aware of the threat the humans posed, gathered once again, their faces darkened with a mix of fear and disbelief. They had underestimated the humans from the start, and now it was clear that their only hope lay in destroying the humans before they could fully take over. But even as they made their plans, they knew deep down that they were facing something far beyond what they had ever expected. "We need to strike hard," one of the commanders said, his voice laced with urgency. "We need to cut them off before they gain any more ground. But we cannot ignore the fact that they've already gained too much. They've adapted to everything we've thrown at them." The leader of the council looked out across the room. His eyes narrowed in thought. "It's not just about strength," he said quietly. "We've underestimated their resolve. They came here to survive. And that is something we cannot defeat easily. But if we act quickly, we can still turn the tide." The humans, however, were already several steps ahead. They weren't simply responding to the alien threat, they were anticipating it. They knew the jungle, the predators, and the alien forces, and they had already adapted. They had become the hunters, and the aliens, for the first time, realized they were the prey. And it terrified them. As the alien forces regrouped and prepared to make their final stand, the humans pressed on. They knew the planet's dangers better than anyone could have expected, and they used that knowledge to their advantage. The battle, which had once seemed like a fight for survival, had now become a fight for control. The humans were not merely surviving anymore, they were dominating. The aliens had lost their sense of certainty. Their once unshakable belief in their own power was crumbling, and they were forced to confront the terrifying truth that they were no longer the apex predators. The humans had come to their world, and they had done what no one else could. They had turned the tables, and now the alien forces were the ones on the run. The humans had already won, not because they were stronger, not because they were more powerful, but because they had something the aliens didn't: the will to survive, the adaptability to conquer, and the strategy to overcome anything in their way. And that was the most terrifying thing of all.